Hello, I researched training to volunteer with children in foster group homes. So I completed about a 4-hour training in order to be able to go in and volunteer, and as well as fingerprint clearance cards, other background checks, and all of that. So I prepared to volunteer with a local church in a foster care group home. While there, we will prepare a meal and connect with the children. There's an orientation training on May 31st, which I went to, and then I will begin volunteering in July. I'm investigating policies for children in foster care and how they impact the success of children, specifically in education. I have a passion for advocating for children in the foster care system, and I expect to meet people who are more integrated and directly experiencing the foster care system. So I've met a lot of colleagues so far, a lot of people who work with foster care, with children experiencing foster care, and also other volunteers. And I will meet the children in foster care in July. And they are teenage boys who have disabilities. This is my documentation. I got a certificate for completing the 4-hour training. And this was really just about trauma-informed conversations, language that we use with the kids, the rules that we follow, and all of that. The benefits of communities and classrooms and students because this benefits the communities and classrooms and students because I'm now well trained to work with children in foster care who have both disabilities and trauma. When I begin the volunteer work, it will be beneficial for these children to be exposed to more people who care about them and their well-being. Selena was an advocate for trust between students and adults in school settings. The article, What's Relational Trust Have to Do with It, explains Sunnyside High, located in Sunnyside, Washington, had a graduation rate of only 49% in 2009. But after Chuck Selena took over in the 2010 to 2011 school year as the turnaround principal, the graduation rate rose to 85% in just 3 years. So this really illustrates the importance of having a relationship with an adult and its impact on education. This activity supported responsive relationships in the community because I am a community member who is entering into their environment, passionate about creating connection. This video, Symbolic Interactionism, states people change based on their interactions with objects, events, ideas, and other people, and they assign meaning to things in order to decide how to react. Because these children have had traumatic experiences, they've assigned meaning to people and tend to sabotage relationships with adults just as a way to protect themselves. As an adult they can trust to keep them safe, I'm actively increasing their trust and attachments and indirectly increasing their educational success. As a volunteer working directly with the children, I'm a part of their microsystems. The video Bronfenbrenner's Ecological Systems, Five Forces Impacting Our Lives, explains a child who grows up in a negative microsystem will find it hard to succeed. My perspective shifted from being an educator to creating more of a safe, nurturing microsystem because that is the foundation for any learning that the student will experience. The experience will enhance the child's learning because in order to learn, a child needs to feel safe. And in order to feel safe, the child needs a trusting microsystem. The video Bronfenbrenner's Ecological Systems, Five Forces Impacting Our Lives explains a child who grows up in a negative microsystem will find it hard to succeed. I'm increasing their chance of success by simply being an adult they can trust. I will prepare with a local church in a foster care group home. While there, we will prepare a meal and connect with the children. And I've completed the orientation. That will start in July. I'm investigating policies for children in foster care and how they impact the success of the children. I also have a passion for advocating for children in the foster care system. I expect to meet people who are more integrated and directly experiencing the foster care system. When I attended the orientation and complete the training, I took notes to record my engagement and have something to refer to later. So here are my notes. The video, How to Build a Community in a School, tells the story of how a high school student used the community of her school to collect teddy bears for a visitation center where children in foster care pick out a teddy bear and then visit their biological parents with that comfort object. This is important for the high school students to be a part of something bigger and experience empathy, but it's also beneficial for the students in foster care to experience community. This activity prepares me and other volunteers through a training and orientation. It ensures the volunteers are on the same page when it comes to the language used with the children, boundaries, and building a trusting relationship. My personal perspective shifted when we discussed how trust is the foundation for relationships. This concept is also a key part of trauma-informed relationships. An article titled Trauma-Informed Practices explains educators can create an atmosphere of trustworthiness and transparency by focusing on building positive relationships with students. The chapter theories that help us understand families from Riddle projects claims family systems theory states that individuals cannot be understood in isolation from their family unit, as families are emotional systems with interconnected members. For a child in foster care, their families are social workers, foster parents, siblings, and depending on the situation, may include biological parents. To improve the condition, so to speak, social workers and foster care families need to be more present and mindful of each child in foster care as if they were the parent themselves. Taking in the information from the training, collecting extra resources, I created an informational pamphlet designed for teachers. It explains the history of the relationship between foster care and education, policies that support foster care, and strategies to cultivate a safe, trauma-informed classroom environment. Here's the informational pamphlet based on several resources. And here it talks about policies and rights, a foster care friendly class, support these policies and contact the department, history, more information and resources. In the video, Bowen Family Systems Therapy, short explanation by Dr. Kirkonda, refers to a person who differentiates between emotional versus reasoning thinking, stating differentiation allows them to choose to be guided by either system. Often with a child who have experienced trauma, they act out of an intense fear response, and it's all in the amygdala part of their brain, rather than also using logic and reasoning. When these individuals are regulated, they have trusted adults. They are more capable of differentiating and using both emotion and logic to problem solve. Educational settings need to be inclusive of all families to create positive and effective relationships with students. For students in foster care, that includes having diverse representations, reliable and valid assessments, and inclusive language. Using terms such as adults or grown-ups instead of mom or dad helps educators demonstrate their recognition of the important primary caregivers in a child's life, according to an article about foster families from the National Association for the Education of Young Children. This changed my personal perspective by revealing how to create and maintain a safe, trauma-informed classroom for all students. I've had and will continue to have students in my foster care, students in my classroom, so this information will help me prepare my classroom accordingly. This informational pamphlet has the capacity to inform and change classroom environments. It reveals the needs of a student in foster care and the state and federal policies to support it. The Every Student Succeeds Act demand for a student to remain in their school of origin as long as the school meets the student's needs. And here are the resources. Thank you.